I'm Professor Green. It's a cold December night in Manchester, and a large crowd has gathered at this soup kitchen.
How many people are you feeding?
Over 150.
And how often?
We're out 3 times a week. One will feed anyone.
Yeah.
I know about at least 300 homeless people, and they're roughly my age.
And that's Manchester?
Yeah.
What is the face of the homeless then?
On here, if you said to me, is that person homeless, is that person homeless, I wouldn't know, but you can guarantee someone who's dressed really nice, they probably are homeless. You wouldn't know you were homeless, would you?
I've been homeless for a year, and it's...
So have you been sleeping rough for a year?
Yeah.
The city has reported one of the biggest rises in homelessness amongst people under the age of 25.
I own 25% shares in my dad's company. I had a 2-bedroom flat in my name. I had 2 cars and a 4-transit van, and it's gone. My dad went bankrupt. That's including myself as well. I lost everything, so I came here.
I keep hearing the term hidden homeless get thrown around.
They're either in hostels, because they're still classed as homeless,
Yep.
sofa surfing,
Yep.
just bouncing from place to place, living in squat, derelict buildings. Not everyone fits into the same box.
I want to find out what life is like for these young people who have no place to call home. I want to understand just how big the problem is, starting in Manchester. I'll be spending the night with 20-year-old Luke, who has been living on the streets on and off for the past 5 years. One way he keeps warm during the long bitter nights is to stay on the move.
Morning, you alright?
Freezing.
I must walk this city centre about easily 30 times a day, easily. And I'm walking about all day, every day.
Even just walking the streets now, it's after 2 in the morning, and there's still a lot of homeless out on the street. It's very visible.
See, these what are visible now, these are the ones that have been out here for years, that know how to live, that know how to get by day by day, that know how to get by at night, that know how to get the money, whereas in the younger ones and the ones that are not used to it, they hide. These streets have damaged a lot of people out here. Like people who I've met out here, so kind-hearted, it's unbelievable, and now they're just a total different person.
10 days ago, Luke was released from prison after handling stolen goods. With nowhere else to go, he's now sleeping rough. It's a cycle he's been caught up in for years.
What led to this?
It was the people who was getting about with the crowd that got in with. Once I got to 14, I was hanging about with the 28-year-olds and the 30-year-olds. I started doing the harder drugs at weekends. I was running away from home a lot just because I wanted to be with them people.
It must have been hard for Mum.
Yeah, of course it was. The police were taking me back every weekend. As soon as the police had let me go, they were out of the car, be off again, do you know what I mean?
By 15, Luke left his mum's for good and moved in with a local drug dealer.
Were you selling drugs?
So I was doing all kinds, grafting cars, shotting drugs, selling weed, selling sniff. I was quite big in it, and then it all just went to pot.
Luke was made homeless when his mate was put away for selling Class A's. Half of all homeless people first take to the streets under the age of 21. Many don't know where to get help and will end up sleeping rough. While on the streets, they're exposed to prostitution, crime and drugs.
All right, Andy.
What are you skinning up? So what is it?
I'm a spicer, me, bro. Big highs.
Spice is the name of the legal high marketed as synthetic cannabis. Although cheap, some brands are as potent and addictive as heroin.
I've heard a lot about Spice, and nothing I've heard about it's been good.
I've been on it for 4 years, and it is all bad. All bad. Not gonna lie to you.
Have you been
Steven,
out?
Wi-Fi or
Yeah,
what?
sorry.
Wi-Fi or what?
Mate, you got to do what you got to do, mate.
What's up, Andy?
Spice is easier to get in Manchester than anywhere else, but you can go to like 4 shops within 5 minutes of it. It's not nice, but you have to find your coping mechanisms.
I'm starting to shake now because I'm not had a spliff.
Yeah.
So that's a coping mechanism.
There's not a single sober homeless person I know.
Luke's off his nut. I tell you what, I've smoked a lot of weed in my life, and we don't do that. So if that's synthetic cannabis, they got it a little bit wrong, because that was much more like the effect of much harder drugs. It was like watching someone slip out on heroin. You all right, Luke? You all right, bro? I was worried about you for a minute, mate.
It was 10 minutes before Luke began to come round. For so many of the rough sleepers here, spice is a way of life.
Yeah, it's open. I'll go in, I'll buy a bag.
Being so easy to get hold of in Manchester and costing as little as £5 a bag, it's estimated that 80 to 90% of the city's homeless are addicted to this legal high.
And he had a big box of that as well, all different ones then, to choose from.
Pandora's box.
Yeah. That one's probably the worst one that come out of the first, like when it first come out.
Luke tells me he turned to spice after his first spell in prison at the age of 17.
It's that blockage of the past and the beatings and the trauma sides of things, because I'm not going to lie, the first time ever in custody, it broke me. My pad mate battered me.
So what sort of stuff was happening?
I got punched up, I got sliced, woke up to him suffocating me with a pillow, slamming me hands in the windows, pulling me off my bed while I'm asleep. All kinds of stuff, like stuff you wouldn't even imagine.
Luke was scared and alone, and the first person he turned to was his mum.
My mum didn't know I was in there. I rang her, and she knew straight away in my voice, and I just broke down on the phone. I just said, I've been assaulted. That's all I said. And she just said, oh no, she knew straight away. My mum knows me, innit? She knows when something's up.
So she still really cares?
Oh, she cares so much. And now I think back at it, I think, wow, why have I put my mum through that? All she's tried to do is keep me safe and from this. That's all she's tried to keep me do. Then I just put myself right in the middle of it. Mothers are always right, man. Just wish I would have listened to her.
Yeah.
That's all I needed to do. And I know I wouldn't be in this situation now.
There are going to be people who are going to throw things at the television and go, why don't you go home?
Of course, I know what you're saying. It's not as easy as that, though, when you've been through some shit that I've been through. It's not as easy just to go home like that. There's a lot of people in the place where I grew up who I've done stuff to and had grudges with in the past.
Are you at risk if you go back?
I will be, yeah. They all know my mum, so the family get grief and bother as well. So, like, that's why I'd just stay out of the way. Let my mum stay safe and just do what she's doing. She's all right, all she is.
Luke's a sweet kid. You know, he's not gone into detail about what happened. Maybe he's owed people money, maybe he stiffed people. You know, we can wonder what we want. He's saying he doesn't want to go home because he's worried about his mother's well-being. You know, he doesn't want to take trouble to her door, and I can understand that. There was a time when I moved out of my nan's because of it, because I never wanted to bring trouble to her door, so I understand that and I respect it. But there's also the part of me that can understand or can imagine what his mum is going through, because she does care.
Like Luke, over a third of young homeless people leave home before their 15th birthday. Family breakdown is the biggest cause of youth homelessness, with nearly half of those affected being chucked out by the head of the household. After all night on the streets, the cold begins to bite. It's 6 a.m. and Luke takes me to one of the few places he can keep warm.
This is where you see most of the homeless people.
It's sad.
It is really sad. I'll agree with you on that one, really sad. It's unbelievable how many people are homeless.
You going to see your mum?
Hopefully, yeah. She keeps on telling me to come and visit, but obviously she don't like me on this shit, man. She told me if I'm on this shit, she's finished. And it's just...
But that's her way of trying to get you off it.
I don't know, maybe, yeah. It's horrible. I wish I never even touched it, Stephen, I swear down. I wish I never touched it in my life.
Like, if it weren't that, would it be something else?
Exactly.
Oh, mate.
No, it's good, man. It just upsets me.
As we talk about his addiction, Luke breaks down.
do you know what? It upsets me because I've known you for a very short amount of time. And I get no bad vibes from you. You seem like a good kid. And it's upsetting me. It's hard to see because I don't feel good about the fact that I'm gonna go home and you're gonna carry on.
Yeah, but that's your life, man. You gotta do what you gotta do, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Other people have gotta do what they gotta do.
Should we go for a wander? I'll walk you back to where are you sleeping?
Trying to think. Market Street or somewhere, just where people are.
It's a really sad reality. It's one thing to walk past someone and have a passing thought. Who are they? Where do they come from? How have they ended up there? But it's another thing when you're starting to meet these people and talk to these people. They become human again.
I'm shocked at how many people I've seen living on the streets in just one night.
Want a spliff?
God bless.
And I want to know what's being done to help them. In nearby Stockport, the number of young rough sleepers has tripled in the last year. I'm joining Kirsty and Nikki, who work on the front line trying to find and help the young and homeless.
Hello, darling.
Right.
Stephen, you all right?
Nice to see you.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, good, thanks. How you doing, mate?
Are you all right, Nick?
Yeah, not bad. As we pulled up, we saw that an ambulance was leaving.
We've just had one of our members in who's been smoking legal high, so he's had a fit.
What, spice?
Spice, yeah.
That's frightening. Does it make people aggressive? Do you see violence from it, or?
Yeah, we've had quite a few of our members that smoke it quite frequently. One day they've had like funny turns on it, so we've had a guy who's been scooting around on his hands and knees, thinking he's a dog barking, lifting chairs up, throwing chairs around.
So like psychosis?
Yeah.
Like they have episodes?
The centre has its own medical facility, and the effects of spice are a growing concern for the nurse here.
I've seen some really life-threatening seizures that have been induced by whatever's in the substance.
And they've got no idea what's in it?
No, and we have seen somebody whose respiration rate had gone down to 4 a minute. And I carry some reversal, and that's an opiate effect, but that was from spice.
As well as healthcare, the centre offers showers, clean clothes and a range of support services. But many young kids new to the streets don't know there's help out there.
What are the prospects for kids who are coming here? If they don't get off the streets, where are they ending up?
Well, some of them end up, in accommodation, some of them end up in prison, some of them end up in a coffin.
What's the fix? If you gave a house, should everyone have a house, do you believe?
Yeah, I believe everyone should have a house, but then there also needs to be the ongoing support. We've got quite a few people who we get accommodated, we get them secured in their own tenancies, we stop engaging with the service, no other support's been put in place, and they're unable to maintain their tenancy.
So they end up back at square one?
Yeah. Them behaviours are ingrained into a person, aren't they?
They're not taking into account the effects of what that person's been through.
Yeah. And to watch, some of them progress when you do work with them and they've got a better understanding of stuff, they can achieve anything. It's just that right support being there for them.
And do you find with a lot of the people that come through here, that's just support they've never had throughout their lives?
Yeah.
For Kirsty and Nikki, this is more than a place of work. They've both been homeless and learnt to survive on the streets.
For me, I was homeless at 16 and I didn't get picked up by social care or anyone else,
At 16?
At 16, I did what I had to sort of fit in with everybody else to survive.
And how did you survive?
Crime, drugs, offending.
What kind of drugs?
Heroin and crack.
And how? And was that just commonplace? Was that what everyone was doing?
Yeah. And I tried it and I liked it because it took me away from reality. You know, I didn't have to...
So it wasn't the drugs that saw you homeless, it was the homelessness that saw you take to drugs?
Yeah, pretty much.
Part of Kirsty and Nikki's work involves going out and checking on the known rough sleepers in the area. They take me to a popular camp under a shopping centre car park. Although there's no one around, there are signs that people are living here.
A tent up there as well.
It's not just syringes and tin cans and empty packets of cigarettes. Hairbrushes, picture of Michael Jackson. It's the little pieces of normality which people were clinging on to. Can you imagine the desperation? That's their connection with what was civilization, you know, but yet they're completely excluded from that way of life. It's just heartbreaking.
Kirsty takes me to another site under a busy motorway. For 6 months of her life, this was where she lived.
So, over in this corner here was just cardboard on the floor, loads of bags, like sleeping bags, quilts.
It's not a pretty place.
It's not, is it?
No. You can feel it here. You really can. How many people would you have down here at a time?
So when I stayed down here, we had 10 people sleeping down here. And the sad reality is, you know, over half of those people are no longer with us now.
So death is something that you see a lot of.
Yeah.
What does it do to you coming back here?
I think it's processing what's actually happened, because how I am today is not how I was then, you know. And at that time, I never dealt with my feelings, my emotions. I don't really know why. You just have to try and work it out, you don't.
I think everyone's got a breaking point. How could you survive in these conditions without something to take you away from them? I'd use drugs. I'd do anything to block out what was going on around me. At a point, even the strongest person will give up.
What's really shocking is that many people living on the streets aren't counted as homeless. You have to be lying down in your sleeping bag to be an official statistic. Sitting up doesn't count as rough sleeping, so the number is probably even higher. And that's not the end of the story. There are 38,500 hidden homeless people living in hostels, B&Bs and sofa surfing around the country. But over the past 5 years, the number of available hostel beds has dropped by 12%, whilst the demand has soared by nearly 40%. I'm back in Manchester to catch up with Luke. 3 weeks ago, he got a place in a hostel for ex-offenders after relentlessly pushing his local authority.
How you doing, bro? Are you alright? You good? Good to see you, man.
Good, man. Good.
You look better.
It's nice to see you. It's look a lot better, man.
You had a haircut?
No, I've not had a haircut.
You've not had a haircut?
No, I've had a shave.
Shave, that's what it is.
You okay though, yeah?
Yeah, good. How you doing?
Through?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah. Should we check into my room now?
Yeah, go on, show me around.
Love it, man, love it. This is my little chill-out zone, where I just come and zone out and do my own thing.
How was the first night in here?
Amazing. Couldn't have asked for a better night's sleep.
Nah.
Loved it. Seriously, man. Everything about it.
Do you feel a step closer to normality now?
I feel like I'm in normality. When I was sleeping on the streets, I couldn't have a good night's sleep. I would always be sleeping with one eye like twitching, or I'd be smoking to make sure that I'm half awake when someone does touch me or walk past me.
Has this helped with your anxiety then? Not having those worries, being able to shut your eyes and not worry about God knows what?
I know that I'm safe. It's great, man. I can think, I can do things through the day.
Luke has been in hostels twice before, but wasn't able to stick it out. This time he's determined to make it work.
What about your mum? Have you spoken to her?
I've not spoken to my mum. Can't wait to speak to her, to be honest.
So does she know you're here?
She doesn't.
No idea.
I'm waiting to sort myself fully so I can go to her and say, look, this is what I've done. Got to do it for her now. Show her instead of say to her this time and just all fake promises.
Luke has an initial 6-month placement here, in which time he'll get the support he needs to turn his life around.
Last time I saw you were smoking expires.
Yeah.
What's going on with that?
I'm not going to lie to you, I'm still dabbling with it, dibbling and dabbling, but as you can tell, I'm lucky that I'm not smoking it like I was.
How often are you smoking?
Sometimes I'm going a night without smoking it, but it's different like how I'm waking up. I'm waking up in puddles of sweat, but I'm like, my anxiety kicks in the morning when I've not had one, like totally kicks in. Just before you come, I puked up, and that's because I've not had one this morning, and I had to have one just before you come in, and that's levelled me off a bit.
The hostel has set up drugs counselling to help Luke conquer his addiction. But sharing a hostel with 38 other ex-offenders and drug users isn't easy, as centre manager Jackie explains.
We have quite a few which have committed offences while under the influence of alcohol, and we manage that risk to make sure that the staff team and the other customers that live in here are safe, and we'll breathalyse them twice a day, which is part of their support. They agree to that, and they have to have a zero reading, not allowed to drink alcohol at all if they're on a no-drink rule.
Okay. Spice is something that keeps coming up over and over.
It's totally not allowed on the project, and if you are using spice, part of your support is that you'll link in with the drugs team. If it's found on the project, it'll be treated with the same as any other drug.
And would that result in someone being kicked out?
It could do, yeah. We have a warning procedure here, so they do have quite a lot of chances. We don't just make people homeless if we can help it. We don't ask people to leave.
But the biggest challenge Jackie faces is keeping the residents off the streets.
We do find that we do have quite a lot of customers coming back round that have lived here previously.
So your doors are open to people who have been here before?
Of course they are, yeah. Even people that we have rehoused into their own accommodation, for whatever reason they've lost their accommodation, yes, they come back round in the system. I've had some that have been here 3 or 4 times, yeah.
4 times?
Yeah.
How do you break the cycle?
I don't know how you break the cycle.
$1 million question. Come on, Jackie, tell me the answer.
I don't know how we can break the cycle. Again, they've got to be ready to accept support.
Do you think that with some people just too much has happened?
Probably so, yeah, and maybe there's not enough help out there for them, because some of the issues are quite deep-rooted, and maybe as they're being supported, it's only touching the surface. So when they go onto their own accommodation, they're sat there again on their own, and their issues rise again, so yeah, it is quite deep-rooted issues.
Luke paints a really rosy picture of this hostel, and I can understand why. In comparison to the conditions that he's been living in, they're night and day. You know, he has a little bit of security here. It still doesn't feel like the safest place. It feels like there's tension in the air.
An argument has just erupted in the kitchen. Luke's milk and sugar is missing. He's now cooling off with a cigarette.
Yo.
You all right?
What happened to you, mate?
Just people downstairs, whoever it was.
No, I saw you switch, bro. Door got slammed and then you disappeared.
Can't leave nothing about, man. It's doing me in. It's not even a fact of leaving milk or sugar about, is it really? It's just a matter of not being able to go back to where I put it. It's a principle, yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Like, that's the reality of this place. But then you got to be careful, because them situations will be what leads you into a situation where you end up getting kicked out because someone takes your milk, you beat them up, or...
That's why I just had to come up.
But if a pint of milk and a bit of sugar can cause that to happen, then you got to be able to control your reactions as well.
I know I need to, but it's a matter of not having a spliff and everything.
That's what I was going to say, is it just that you ain't had no spice?
Everything rolls in one, do you know what I mean?
Like, what has to happen for you to be able to get off it? Like, how severe does it have to be, or is there anything?
I don't know.
Or are you just going to accept that as life?
No, it can't happen. Can't stay here where things get taken, man. It's doing me head in. Go down to town, I need to grab some more spice. Got none.
Having seen Luke so together this morning, it's frustrating to now see Spice putting him back at square one.
Give us a tenner if you want.
A tenner?
Luke's not just scoring for himself, but also for his mate.
Right, have a bag of 1.5, black label.
Although he buys irregularly, tonight they're refusing to serve him.
Yeah, I'm coming to buy me legal highs. I come here every night, you know that. But you can't stop me from buying me stuff. I didn't... Do you know what? You're lucky, very lucky. Michael, get your ass in there.
What?
Very lucky. Get in, come round the corner. Black on it, black label. Now, wait, don't go in yet. Let us walk off first and you get it afterwards. Hey, I'm coming here every night. I know a lot of people, me, mate. Just watch us. We'll see you later. Get your ass out there now. Get your fuck off, mate.
Luke is now threatening to beat the guy up.
Don't worry, I know what time he finishes work. I know fucking everything. It's fucking muppet.
Come on, bro. Him decided not to serve you. You see what I mean? It's madness. Look at the stuff you're talking over that.
He knows what it does to me, though. Got it? Come, pass it here. Need a spliff.
So this is every night, Luke?
Every night, just every day. Every minute, every hour. Just getting about in town, just like we do. Like, I know a lot of the hustlers around here.
This is the same shit you were up to when you were on the street, though, bro.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be getting about in just one set of clothing, because I'd know that I'd need another 5 sets for when I'm wet later. So I'd be getting about with clothes underneath me, plus bags on top of me, but I'm not getting about with nothing now, as you can see. I don't need to.
I've already spent time with Luke on Spice, but tonight he's a totally different person.
Watch.
As we wait to cross a busy road, he suddenly decides to stop the traffic.
Did it stop, bro? Hey, the car's stopped, bro.
Come
That's
on.
what happens. Stop any car in Manchester. Stop any car in Manchester, that's all you have to do.
Don't do stuff like that, man. Stop it, man.
That's why I do things like that, so people notice me.
Yeah, bro, come on, that's just stupidness.
Yeah, but see what they used to...
Bro, I can't hear that,
yeah,
bro.
But Stephen, see what they used to laugh at me for outside the town hall? For standing there and saying nothing. So do you know what I do now? I get out loud and say...
Yeah, but bro, that's not gonna...
Clear, loud and clear. I'm Luke, I'm homeless, I'm from Manchester, I'm what?
Stupid behaviour. Stupid behaviour. I don't know what happened. He went from being a quite humble, you know, nice person to just being an idiot. It was just an absolute switch in personality, but I don't know if it was the spice. Was it him not having spice and that building up to a point? And if that's his journey day in, day out, you know, there's going to be less of the person that we met this morning and much more of that person that we just saw.
The way I see it, people look at me like they can hurt me. People look at me like they can emotionally blackmail me. No, you can't. I can do that to myself just as much as you can do that to me.
You sound paranoid, Luke.
I am paranoid and fucked. But this is what's made me like this. Town, sleeping next to people who you can't trust, who'll stab you in the back with a knife the minute that you turn. This.
Yeah, that, definitely.
Luke decides to hang out with his mates at a squat. I've seen enough for tonight. My time with Luke has made me realise just how complicated homelessness is.
Take care. Homelessness is not just about not having a home. It goes far beyond that. Once people have been on the streets, what it does to them psychologically and who they become and how they become accustomed to living their life doesn't just go away once they're given a home. Being in a hostel, you're not counted as being homeless. You are very much still homeless. That's become apparent quickly. But even still, with a roof over your head, there's no difference between him having a hostel and a one-bedroom flat at this very moment in time, because if he had that one-bedroom flat, he would still be coming out and doing the same shit.
Getting a place in a hostel should mean accessing help to recover from the trauma of sleeping rough. But if Luke can't let go of his life on the streets, overcome his addictions and accept hostel living, he could lose his bed once again, and his cycle of homelessness will continue. Luke's situation is an example of the vicious circle that many people on the streets find themselves stuck in. In London, there's a project taking a different approach. I've come to visit a women's hostel run by a Christian charity. I'm meeting 26-year-old Sakina, who's been in hostel care for 2.5 years.
Hello, Sakina, how you doing? You all right?
All right, yeah.
Good to see ya.
How are you?
As well as offering emotional counselling, this hostel is focused on providing practical help in getting the women ready for independent living.
So who are we meeting today?
We're meeting Bex, she's the manager.
Bex is the hostel's resettlement manager and has been working with Sakina since she got here.
Hello, Bex.
Hey, Sakina.
Hello.
Hey.
Together they work in a catering business run by the hostel.
This kitchen is where we have our social enterprise, Munch in Marylebone. And a key part of that is to give the women that live with us some employment skills. But the product is professional food.
As well as counselling for alcohol addiction, Sakina has been gaining practical skills and work experience.
Did you find it hard coming into a group environment?
Definitely in the beginning. Obviously, you don't know who's there and what you're going, like what to expect or anything. But once you get into it, it kind of changes your mindset, and you become you're more able to go out and do things on your own.
The hostel will soon be looking to resettle Sakina into a home of her own.
So Sakina is getting to a place where she's ready to move on and to kind of get back on her feet, start independently again. But we would never want to resettle somebody into an empty house with an empty life, because it's going to fall apart. It's very isolating, it's very difficult.
Young people who have been homeless often lack life skills, self-confidence and the ability to structure their day.
It's about being able to sustain yourself, sustain your life, sustain your tenancy. You need skills, you need confidence, you need life skills, you need employment skills. You need things that are going to give you a sense of worth and the ability to rejoin a community and give back to it.
What's the process been like from where you were when you got here to where you're at now?
So when I first came in here, I wanted to get resettled ASAP, but the fact that it's taken longer has actually made me more appreciative. And I know when I get my flat, I'm definitely not gonna do anything to jeopardise that. Yeah, definitely not.
Sakina could only be months from finally getting rehoused, but it's been a long and difficult journey. 3 years ago, her life changed when her whole family were evicted, and she suddenly found herself working out how to survive as a young woman on the streets.
I was just used to get on night buses and just stay on night buses all night. Just had to do it, so I had no choice other than to just go do what I had to do.
So then what was the progression? Where did you go from the buses?
I kind of got into the wrong crowd of people just so I can...
Did that keep a roof over your head?
Yeah.
After 2 months riding the night buses, she found a squat with other homeless people, where Sakina witnessed heavy drug use and abusive behaviour.
There was a lot of rape going on as well. Like, I was smart enough not to fall for like people's tricks. Like, I was really aware.
So a lot of people turn to drugs to cope with that situation.
I wasn't strong enough to just be sober and just like get through it. Instead of feeling that pain or whatever you go through, get a bottle of vodka. Do you know what I mean? Drink that, drink your pain away.
When do you think you hit your lowest point?
It was a lot of times I felt like I don't want to be here no more.
So you thought about suicide?
Yeah. Quite a few times. You feel like there's no future, like that's it. Like, this is what life is going to be for the rest of your life, so.
A young rough sleeper is over 30 times more likely to take their own life. But with support and counselling, Sakina has conquered her alcohol addiction and is learning to work through her emotional trauma.
It wasn't until I came into the hostel and like I saw a therapist. She said to me, you can change this, you can turn your life around. Life's not over for you. And it wasn't until she said that made me think, I have to be strong now.
Sakina's newfound strength has grown over the last 2.5 years. She's at a place where she finally feels ready to reclaim her life.
Just being here, like, reminds me of being a kid.
She's brought me to the estate she grew up on and the only place she ever called home.
We're just gonna go to the shop. We call it Jack's.
Does the same people run it from when you were little?
I think so. We'll find out now. So.
Sakina's just showing us around. She said if she was ever 20p short, you always let her off.
Yeah, always. Yeah, you always used to let me off.
It's nice having that familiarity, though, isn't it?
This is what is pushing me to get that again. That's all I want. I want this again. This is what I knew for 20 years. The best memories of my life was here.
Which one was yours?
So it's the third one up, that one there.
Yeah. A little bit too hard to jump out the window when you want to escape, Mum.
Yeah, definitely.
Sakina lost the security of home and community when the family suddenly found themselves being evicted.
They just came with a letter and they had the truck already here to like take the stuff away. We wasn't prepared for it at all. It was all a bit of a rush. So I just remember everyone just like grabbing all their most important things, the things that they need. Literally from there, my mum, she got housed, but my brothers, they just did their own thing. Like, it split us up as a family.
What kind of feelings does it stir up, looking back at it?
Just, yeah, sad, because obviously that's what I know, like that was my home.
Sakina is mum to a 4-year-old little girl. In the 3 years since becoming homeless, she's not been able to have her daughter in her care, so she currently lives with her dad, Sakina's ex-partner.
This is my primary school, all my family went to.
Do you look forward to being able to come and pick her up and take her back to what will be your house?
Definitely, yeah.
And your home?
I can't wait for them days. Like, I dream about those days. It would just be amazing. She needs her mother, she needs me to be there for her and take her to school. And she even asks me, like, you know, the kids at school ask, like, why didn't your mommy come and pick you up? And it just breaks my heart because I'm not in the position to do that.
The hostel has offered Sakina the stability to see a new life for herself, but for many the future is much less certain. It's estimated there are over 300,000 hidden homeless. These are the people who fall outside government statistics, living in hostels, on the streets, in squats, B&Bs, or being put up on a sofa. Many become trapped for years. I'm off to a part of London I know well.
Today I'm back on the ends, back in Clapton, E5, Hackney I suppose, not just Clapton, to meet a young guy to find out about his experiences as a homeless young man. Home's a very important place when you're growing up, when you're an adult. I don't think that ever changes. As a kid, how much of an effect does it have on who you become? A massive one. As I got older, you know, I've had friends stay with me when they've been out of accommodation, go back into hostels, have all their stuff stolen, get beaten up. But it's not really the bricks and mortar that shape you as a person, it's the people you share the home with. Without my nan in my life, I'm not sure what would have happened. I got into enough trouble as it was.
Today I'm back on home turf at Hackney Marshes.
Right, how you doing, you alright?
And heading for the football pitches.
What's going on, mate? I was a terrible footballer. I always used to get put in goal. I saved the ball in my face once.
I'm meeting 25-year-old Jerome, who works full-time in the bookies but is still homeless. Jerome went into care at the age of 14 due to family breakdown. After leaving the care system 2 years later, he still hasn't been able to find an affordable place to live.
There's a big rise in people between the ages of 18 and 25 that are homeless, but they're not sleeping on the street like that. They're in their friends' houses, or they're in their friend's mum's sofa, or they're on their... Like, do you know what I mean?
Just having a roof over your head doesn't mean you have a home.
Exactly. There's a difference between having a roof and having a home, isn't it?
When people paint a picture of a homeless person, it's not someone that looks like you or that looks like you or that looks like me. Why is that, do you think?
You don't want people to know. You don't want people to see that side of you. Like, not to be big-headed. I dress all right, I got my trainers on, I look fresh, I've had a shower, I go to work. When I get paid, I'll go barbers. So no one knows that I'm homeless. Like, it's only like the people who know me and know that how long I've been sleeping on my sister's sofa, or I've been sleeping on my nan's sofa, or my aunt's sofa, or this person's sofa, that person's sofa, who really know that I'm homeless. Homelessness has many faces. It has every colour, every creed, every gender. You can walk past someone in a business suit, man, this guy could be homeless. You don't know, like, don't give homelessness a face. That's what I say.
For Jerome, working a full-time job but not having a fixed address has brought its own complications.
There was times when I got kicked out of my nan's house, I'm thinking to myself, listen, I've got 3 bags, I've got to go to work today. Those are the stresses that really, and these are the reasons why having a home is just essential to everyone.
Jerome joins 1 in 5 16 to 25-year-olds who've experienced sofa surfing, moving around, relying on friends and family for a sofa, spare bed, or a floor to sleep on. I catch up with Jerome a few days later before he heads off to work.
What's happening, you all right?
What's that, are you good?
Yeah, man, I'm good, man.
Jerome has 2 young children, but as he's currently sleeping on his aunt's sofa, spending time with them is difficult.
See it?
Living in London means he can't afford to rent somewhere that would work for him and his kids.
2-bedroom apartment, a spare room for my children to stay in when they came over. £400 a week, so that's what, that's £1,600 a month. How long is it going to take someone who's on £1,200 a month, who's also providing for his children, who's also trying to get to work? How do you save up for that? So £1,600 a month, how many hours have you got to work to do that?
You've got 16, yeah, but then you've got bills.
Exactly, like no one's mentioned that. So you're looking at, really and truly, you're looking at £2,000 a month. Why do I want to move out of London when all my family live here? So it's like, you're in a proper catch-22 and it's just like, it hurts, man.
I think Jerome's probably quite an accurate picture of a lot of people who are the hidden homeless. You would never pick him out from a crowd as being homeless. He's very well kept, better kept than I am. He's basically everything that people would assume homeless isn't.
Oh.
In the UK, there's a real lack of social housing. And in the last 2 decades, demand has increased by 80%, which has forced up rental costs in the private sector.
What's your situation now?
So at the minute, I'm just on my aunt's sofa trying to find somewhere else to go.
So what are the options? Private rent,
private
council,
rent, council's not an option. Not in London. Like, my cousin's been on the council list for 10 years.
The lack of affordable housing is a major cause of homelessness. For Jerome, sofa surfing has been essential to avoid worse.
Because there's been times when I've been like 9, 10 o'clock in the night and I thought, where am I going tonight? And one of my friends has just saved me last minute, like, come to mine. Sleep on my floor or on my sofa. I don't ever want my children to go through the things that I've gone through and see the things that I've seen and like spend nights in McDonald's because they got nowhere else to go, or to walk around the streets all night because they got nowhere else to go. I don't want to see my children in that position ever.
After you, bro.
Thank you.
Everyone pins the beginning of the next stage of their life on when they get accommodation, and rightly so, because without that foundation, how can you build a life?
Safe, man.
Safe for that. All the best for the future.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for listening as well.
Respect.
All right.
Jerome's fortunate enough that he can help himself, but not everyone can.
Sadly, Jerome's story is a common one. Down the road in the borough of Islington, I'm meeting another of the growing number of the UK's hidden homeless.
Hello. Who are you? You Persia?
Lauren and her 4-year-old daughter Persia are staying in her friend's spare room after being evicted from her 2-bedroom house.
What are you playing?
What's that?
She fell into rent arrears after being made redundant.
I don't know how to play it. Have we got to try and get... What have I got to do? Try and get as many as I can? I don't think I'm very good at this. You sitting on a chair? That chair's too small for you. You're a big girl now.
Lauren moved here 1 month ago from her hometown of Harlow in Essex.
It's hard because we built up such a social network in Harlow.
Yeah.
I've got my close friend Rush and her 2 little daughters, and we would see each other every single day.
How did Persia find the change?
It's a big thing. She's 4 years old. She was born and raised in Harlow.
Yeah.
But she misses her friends and she misses the old nursery you used to go to. You miss your friends from Harlow?
I miss Charlie.
You miss Charlene?
I miss Clariella.
Clariella? I think she could be going through a long list of
She's got a lot of friends. You've got a lot of friends. You're popular.
For Lauren, it's now important to create some stability for Persia.
She's just settled into her 2nd school. I don't want to move again and then transition her to a 3rd school. So ideally, I want to settle in this borough, but I still don't know how we're going to do it. This is our room. This is where we condense our life.
Mummy, I can't count them.
She was half a day old when that was taken.
And she's already swearing.
Yeah, I think that's her outlook. Who's that, Paj?
She's full of beans, isn't she?
Lauren and a very energetic Persia share this one room and sleep in the same bed.
I feel like in such a small space we've got so much to try and fit in there.
I mean, do you find it difficult?
Yeah, when I'm getting her up for school and I can't remember which pile of things I put it somewhere, and then I end up throwing everything everywhere and get myself in a right mad mess.
It might be small, but it's better than the accommodation the council were offering her over 100 miles away from her support network.
If I didn't have Claire that opened up her home, the only option that you're given is bed and breakfasts in and around the country.
So do you think this is quite a widespread problem and that this is splitting up communities in a lot of places? I mean, if they were willing just to ship you to Clacton or to Great Yarmouth, how many other people are there? I mean...
Loads. When we was in temporary accommodation, 9 sets of families we got to know. It's a horrible position to be in. Not being able to provide for your child, the child that I brought into this world. I know I'm being hard on myself, but I've let her down by not being able to provide her with a secure home. And it's really hard not to get emotional and involved in that. Because I have got to step up and I have got to make things a success just so she's got a base and a place to call home.
No.
You're a good girl, aren't you?
Losing the family home has meant selling off most of their possessions. But it's the more personal things that are the hardest to let go of.
So this is the last bit of your stuff?
Yeah, the last bit of our lives. I've sold so much. We can't fit it all into one room. My daughter had to do away with a lot of her stuff. Her scooter, a little Hello Kitty pop-up, and me with my vinyl. I'm not going to be able to play that again.
Shame to lose that, though. You know, they must relate to a point in your life. For me, that's what a song is.
I was heavily into my music.
Yeah.
Absolutely loved it.
50 Cent in the club.
Some of it's really
That was his breakthrough, wasn't it? I always find they remind me of moments.
Yeah.
It's when you first heard that song, or who you heard that song with, or where you were.
No, I love my records and they cost a lot of money at one point, but I can't feed my daughter on memories.
Would you consider yourself to be homeless?
I know there's going to be people out there that say, well, you're not homeless actually because you have a roof over your head. But we're homeless in the sense that we don't have a home of our own and we don't know where we could be next week. Because yes, we're relying on a very good friend that's put us up, but circumstances change. You never know what can happen in the future. The amount of times I've been in this garage and sat down and just looked at all my stuff and just thought, how on earth did I end up like this?
It's shocking, really. You know, to think of the situation that she's ended up in, and to think how easily you can end up, you at home could end up in that situation. None of us are really that far away from it, are we? You know, she lost her job and it was pretty much that simple. From there on, it was quite a conceivable series of events. It's not what I expected to see. I don't think it's what many people would deem as being homeless, but we need to change our perception of that because there is a problem. And I guess the reason that we think of homeless as an old man on the street with a can of beer is because that's something we've all grown up seeing. It's something we all see day to day when we're out on the streets. But there is a huge problem, clearly, with people that we don't see. They are virtually invisible.
The hidden homeless have many faces. From those like Lauren teetering on the edge, to the rough sleepers facing the dangers of the streets every night. Back in Manchester, there's been some shocking news. One of Luke's friends, Daniel Smith, was killed while sleeping rough. Luke's brought me to some railway arches where they found Daniel's body. I'm worried to find out how Luke's coping.
He was staying in there, he was been battered, dragged actually in a tent while he's been dead, and set
So
on
they
fire.
beat him to death?
Beat him to death and set him on fire. 23 years of age.
Poor kid, 23.
And to say it was homeless people who did it in the community, it's not nice, it's sick.
We make our way around to the other side of the arches. When we get there, the police have still got the crime scene cordoned off.
What a horrible place to die. Makes you shudder, doesn't it?
And obviously they dragged all the stuff out and pulled it to one side. Clothes, sleeping bags, covers.
Just what would have been going through his head, you know? It's just
I can't
fear.
I can't even imagine what was going through his head.
It's not a death anyone should meet, is it? It must make you think, man.
It does, man. I go home every night, I think about it, trust me. I was sat in that exact same room 2 weeks ago. Exact same room to where he was battered.
Fuck.
Sick, he's sick.
You've seen a lot of stuff in your time on the streets. Is this the worst?
My boy's lost his life. My family's lost his son.
I can see Daniel's death has deeply affected Luke.
It's the wind, isn't it?
Thank you.
It's all right. What does the tent signify?
I come and stayed here last Friday and Saturday night. I just thought because I'm allowed out 2 nights in my hostel a week, I just thought I'd come and stay here Friday and Saturday night, and just paid a bit of respect.
It's weird to think though, once the tent's gone, once that's taken down, there'll be
nothing left of him now.
I suppose it's a reason to not end up back on the streets, isn't it?
It is, it's a good enough reason. People are stabbing each other in the backs out here. It shouldn't be happening. Should be looking out for each other out here, not stabbing each other in the backs and killing people. He's a good guy, not a top guy.
Does it not make you worried about what could happen to you?
Yeah, of course it does. It's not nice, man. It shouldn't be happening.
2 men have been charged with the murder of Daniel Smith. Luke's been off the streets for a month. This could be the wake-up call he needs to keep hold of his hostel place and break the cycle of homelessness before it's too late.
I don't know where Luke's gonna end up. It's anyone's guess. He's smoking, but he obviously cares to come down and put his tent up for 2 nights when he's got a bed in a hostel. We've spent a couple of days in his life. We don't understand his world and we don't have to live this day in, day out. So many people are homeless for so many different reasons. And everyone's case, although there might be consistencies, family breakdown, mental health, drug addiction, everyone's story is slightly different, and the help that people need is different.
What I've found is that once you lose the security of having a home, the fight to get it back is incredibly difficult, made worse by the lack of social housing and support. Charities do what they can, but until we recognise the true scale of the problem, often hidden from view, more and more young people will find themselves trapped in these desperate circumstances.
Head fuck. It is a proper head fuck. We go back to life now, and this life that for everyone who's on the streets just continues as it does day in, day out. I wouldn't say that I'm leaving this with any more hope than I came into it. I think if anything, less so. The more I understand about homelessness, the more I understand how difficult it is to break that cycle.